Purchase your tracks today.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm about to share the screen so you can see everybody. Hold up. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Purchase your tracks today. Purchase your tracks today.
Very complicated. This you can see it's very high tech.
Purchase your tracks today.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, little children, dogs and cats, it's your boy, Randy Chew, aka Mr. Chew on that. And I'm here with my illustrious co host.
Christopher J, aka him, aka Mr. Skirt Skirt, aka Mr. Essential, but I ain't gonna take all the names because I know you got some too.
And I'm here with my featured illustrious professor, co host. Well, take illustrious off of his.
I was about to say he got illustrious too.
No. Take
When did
illustrious.
this oh my god! Oh my god!
See, this is what happened when you miss an episode. Ladies and gentlemen,
Don't play a hate.
I'm here with my featured co-host.
It's your boy Grantastic, aka the Professor, aka Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, aka We Got Some More Chew and Choke.
And listen. We have a very
Very.
powerful special guest tonight. Before I introduce her, of course, we have to get two things out of the way. I put her on the screen so everyone can see her. Amelia. But before I introduce her, listen, we know how we do on the Chew on That show. By the way, tonight we're not accepting any callers unless you're on Podbean. And but we definitely will be live streaming on Instagram doing this show as well. You already know you're watching either on YouTube or Facebook, but you can go to www.trueradio.net and also watch this live as well. This is CHOONET. Oh, sorry. CHOORADIO.net, which is trueradio.net. And you can watch the show live there. But first, I want to do something real quick. I'm going to do the books and business segment, which I'm only going to do one book, no businesses, and then we're going to go into Chew and Choke, and then we're going to introduce our special guest. We're going to go into today's topic and discussion. But before we do all of that, I want to welcome my illustrious co-host back to the show. He missed last week. Had to take care of some things.
Been gone for a minute. Now he's back with the jump off.
You know what I mean? His jump off don't argue or get rebellious.
Oh.
She don't mind hanging out with the fellas.
You know how I do.
Listen, Chew and Choke. I'm sorry. Books and Business. Mr. Grantastic has a book he wanted the audience to get. What? Introduce it.
Yes, ladies and gents. So Grantastic is on the Books and Business for today. All right. So I got a little book here. We're talking about doing some work on ourselves, some real deep work. So one book that I had for a little bit that was a really good read, called Feeling Good. Okay, Feeling Good. This is by David D. Burns. All right, so it's Feeling Good. This is about the new mood therapy.
Okay.
So this is a clinically proven drug-free treatment for depression. This is not, I wouldn't say the Bible for it, but this does have a lot of good things inside. There is
It has a plethora of knowledge.
a plethora of knowledge.
That jump pretty thick, though.
It's pretty thick. It's thick like a Snicker. Thick like cold peanut butter.
Okay.
It does have a couple things for you to do. A couple checklists for yourself. This is good to see if you are at a state that you can help yourself. Or maybe, call a professional like our guest today to help you get through some things. So it has a couple checklists for yourself. Read it, go through, self-examine yourself. And it's just a tool to help you see where you need to go if you need to get a help moving forward. So, again, Feeling Good. This is a good read, very thick, but it's okay. You can go through chapters and get what you need. Whoop, there it is.
She thick?
She thick.
Uh-oh, hot dog.
Thick like cold
Hot
peanut butter.
monkey
Listen,
lava.
so I want to dive straight into the Chew and Choke segment. And then after that, we're going to introduce our special guest topic. Special guest, because I always want on my platform for the special guest to feel special. That's number one. And number two, for them to introduce themselves, because there's no better way for someone to be introduced except for them to introduce themselves.
Allow me to introduce myself.
Hot
My
tub
name
of
is
glory.
Hove.
Hot tub of glory. Hot tub of glory.
So
I nearly joined in with you guys then.
So yeah, after Chew and Choke, I definitely want you to get your notepads out. I definitely want you guys to be ready to take notes. I want to see the comment section lit up. I want to see, even after the show, I want to hear from Miss Amelia that she's been contacted by fans concerning some stuff we're going to discuss tonight, because it's going to get very, very deep tonight, very, very simple. And by the way, shout out to Young Pharaoh. He was the one that put me on to Amelia, so we'll have
One
that.
of my very, very close friends.
Yeah. Without further ado, Chew and Choke.
Chew and Choke, everybody. All right. So
I'm
here's a
getting
little
straight to
game that we
business.
play. We talk about some topics that came up during the week. And then we have my panel of intelligent, wonderful young men.
I appreciate you.
If you think this is a topic that you think is what's up, You're gonna put up that chew on that. Okay, it means it tastes good. It means it's good to your soul, good to your
Whoa.
heart.
What he
Next
meant,
thing.
what he meant was to let that sizzle in your spirit.
What it
Okay,
says in
okay.
this thing.
Yeah, that's what he meant.
okay,
That's what he
okay.
meant.
Just, yeah. Y'all always just. I
I mean,
appreciate it.
I
I'm
had
not
to
back like
ask.
chiropractor.
You know, you,
Anyways, if it's not good, if it's a topic you are not feeling or uncomfortable, sometimes they're just uncomfortable and they don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Then they'll put up the red choke on that. All right. So it's a chew on that radio, y'all. Let's get into it. Oh man, this has actually made me laugh out loud, but I want to send it y'all way. So it was a quote I saw on Instagram saying, "Black people, 27 and up. Have y'all ever seen your grandma cook tacos?
cook tacos.
Cook tacos. Have you ever seen a
Nah.
grandmother cook tacos?
My grandmother cooked. Nah, where's it at?
What y'all think about grandmas cooking tacos? Huh?
She can choke on it.
Nah.
Man, look, this is one thing I will say with this. All right, my grandmother made some amazing pies and some great food. I've never seen her cook a taco a day in my life. God rest her soul. Homemade rolls, everything. And I thought about it, I was like, I've never seen, but you know something? We are definitely going to be them grandparents and be like, baby, sit at this table and get these tacos. All right. So that's number one. Number two,
That's what
I was
I
reading
told
this in the business world. Let's move to the business world.
her. Okay.
All right. And this one, I think hopefully this doesn't take 20 minutes. I want to see how this, I'm going to throw this one out there. All right. At Leah B. Diaz had a quote on one of the podcasts that I follow. If you don't have good discipline as an employee, you'll never be a good business owner. I'll read that one more time for y'all. If you do not have good discipline as an employee, you'll never be a good business owner. How y'all feel about that? Because whew. You want me to read it one more time?
I disagree.
Uh-oh.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I actually disagree on that as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a chew? Oh, go ahead, sir.
I also disagree.
So let my illustrious co-host let him go first, and then
soda slap?
then
I don't
go.
know.
No, not yet, not yet, not yet.
That them pass me the mic.
All right. My interpretation falls as this.
Okay.
I do believe that to be a good leader, you have to know what it is to be a follower.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's to compare. That's why I'm comparing those two.
You may not
Okay.
ever be an employee.
Say what?
You may not ever meant to be an employee.
Okay.
I mean, I agree, but until to understand, okay, so I always tell people, in our personal ordeals, I had conversations with my current supervisor. In a sense, I always told them, I said, there's a difference between a good leader and a bad leader. But before you get to the good and the bad leader, there's a difference between a boss and a leader. A boss is a do as I say, not as I do.
Okay.
A leader
Okay.
is a do as I say, and if you need help, I will show you.
Okay.
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 So that is going to require you to step up off your high horse and do the work that an employee will do.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why I say chew on that. There is going to be a fine balance, just as anything else in life. But hey,
Mr. Chew, what do you
I
think?
say choke on that because I feel like there are people who have been given the ability to lead a specific business without actually knowing how to be a follower or an employee in that business. For example, my mother owns a child care center that now she sits on the federal board for child care centers across the United States of America. She never was a regular employee at a child care center, but she runs her business so effectively that she elevates and stimulates the employees that she does hire. And she's helped other nonprofit organizations establish not only their 501c3s or 501c4s and their bylaws and so forth, but also helped them establish child care centers and academies. Now it's remote learning because of COVID-19. She learned how to deal with MSDE for the local Maryland branches of policies and procedures and whatnot. But she never was an employee of child care development stuff. She was an airport employee. She worked at the Pentagon and the bank system before, and she worked at the YWCA before as a director of programs. And then now here's the vision. She pulled out of her 401k to start a child care center with no employee background for herself, and it's flourishing. However, I will agree with the Chew on that and say that sometimes you should be an entrepreneur and not an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who goes into an industry or goes into a job to learn everything, to follow and be mentored, and then be launched out to do your own.
Gotcha.
Like barbers with apprenticeship and masters and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I say choke on that because for the audience, I don't want them to be stuck in slavery.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't devalue yourself because you're in an entrepreneurial standpoint in your life right now.
I agree.
So
I agree
yeah,
with that.
that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, that's kind of the same lines of what I am on it. I think I used to have the mentality of like everybody gotta go to college, everybody gotta get these jobs, all this, all that, and I'm like an educator, and I am not pro college for everyone. Like not at all. Like I'm an educator, and this is like, look, I get a skill.
Yeah.
You will always have a job if you have a skill.
I believe in that.
And I think there are some skills that necessarily you can learn your skill and your craft, and you can take into your own business.
I'm trying to bring trade schools back, y'all. Bear with me.
Yeah, because they need to come back.
Yeah.
I just think that as well. So I think there's a level of that you can have your own business and not necessarily be an employee your whole entire life. I think some people are just not shaped to work for somebody like being breathed on 100% 365 year round. I've met people that is just, they don't operate like that. And not saying they're not having a job. They made their own job.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just like,
Yeah.
just seeing that is just like, it's not an absolute thing for me. That's it.
I do have a quick question though while we're still in this segment. Is there a how can I phrase it? Trying to find out a way to phrase it to make it interesting. Okay, you guys, did you guys graduate high school?
Yes.
You did, Chris.
Barely.
Barely.
But you graduated, right?
Yes.
I did.
I didn't graduate high school.
Really?
I actually got kicked out of Annapolis Senior High School. I got my GED. I was supposed to graduate in 2005. I was supposed to be in the class of 05. I didn't get my GED till 2010. Now, knowing me, especially Jason, big bro, they know me longer than you. But now, you wouldn't be able to tell that I didn't graduate high school.
There's no way I could not tell.
And you know the crazy part about it? I actually wasn't a good reader. I really couldn't read very good at all, or even talk very good at all, until after I started my pursuit and my spiritual journey. And that's when I started to study history, study spiritual things, and my mind began to enlighten, and I was able to retain information and go through life experiences to, but I threw that out there because I'm vibing tonight for some reason. I'm picking up energies tonight for some reason, and
we happen to have a great guest.
Yeah, I mean we have a the God, I almost cussed. The guest is gonna be amazing. Listen, but I think that for some people, school is necessary.
Yes, for
they
some
need
people.
that kind of structure. But for others who were
I'm warning you. I'm about to pause you because you're going to get into some of my questions for the guests. I'm going to
Oh,
let you
never
know.
mind.
I'm going to
Listen.
let you know if you're crossing over. Keep
Listen,
going.
Oh, no.
I'll
What
let
we're
you
gonna
go.
do? We're gonna introduce the special guest,
Okay.
and we're gonna dive into the topic,
Okay.
and we're gonna have a great discussion. So, listen, I was scrolling through YouTube, and I just so happened to go through a Young Pharaoh video where I see Young Pharaoh talking to two women, and one of the women just so happened to be Miss Amelia. As I'm listening to the conversation, I am highly intrigued. Number one, because it was one of the first times I've heard a majority woman podcast radio show that didn't sound stupid. Um, and so then I reached out to Young Pharaoh, like, I was gonna actually be like, yo, Young Pharaoh, come on my show. Let's have a series together. You like to talk your talk, I like to talk mine. I got co-hosts. Let's just do a couple things together. And then all of a sudden, he was like, won't you have my friend come on first? I'm not going to give the background story of the whole conversation. That's for me and Young Pharaoh to know on our personal, Big Bro knows what's actually going on with that whole situation. Shout out to Zoe Williams and Corey Holcomb. And I said, okay, cool. So I reached out. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to get a response. She's busy, whatever. And I get a response. I said, wow, okay. So I was excited because I feel like we have, now mind you, we've had women special guests on the show before that were powerful. We're not going to discredit them at all. Right. Shout out to Kimberly Giles. Shout out to Tiffany Ram. Shout out to
Dr. Humphrey.
Shout out to Penelope Hayes. We've had a lot of great special guests. We also had some hot garbage special guests.
Who got hung up on mid-show.
For
disrespect.
But I am especially excited for tonight's show. Without further ado, Amelia Love, please introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are, what you do, and then we're going to dive into I'm going to introduce the topic. We're going to have a discussion. Me and my co-hosts have questions. We want to hear from you tonight, Miss Amelia. We don't want it to be about us. We want the Chew Nation to hear from you. We want it to be a dialogue, discussion. If people have questions, whatever. And whatever we are vibing with or we're feeling, I want to go with the flow. So without further ado, Miss Amelia Love, introduce yourself to the people.
Okay, so it's very nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
I'm from England, from London. Now live in America.
Okay.
First came out to America through the music industry. I was a rapper, which is why when you started doing the Jay-Z, I was like about to join in with you. And back in early 2000s, I had some really serious medical stuff that meant that I was literally bedbound for a couple of years. During that time, I read 1,000 books covering everything from like herbs, Reiki, psychology, whirling dervishes, just religions, everything. I just studied everything to figure out what was wrong with me and how I would get better, because I had a physical issue, but something told me that I needed to work on the mind. So eventually I figured out how to get well, told the doctor what to do, and he got me well. And I went back to the music industry. 2009, I had an emotional experience where I realized that there was something within my mind that was not for my best good. There was something self-sabotaging within me. Ooh. And I wanted to find out what it was, where it came from, and how the F to get rid of it. Yes. So I studied the darkness for 2 years. And when I say I studied the darkness within the human psyche as well as the darkness outside. So through that study, I obviously found out all about the deep state, and then known as Illuminati, the sacrifice of children and all the nasty stuff that they get up to.
Yes,
but
the
also,
pedophilia and all that, yeah.
Yeah, so I learned about the darkness outside as well as the darkness inside. By around 2011, I'd reached a level of inner peace that you could call enlightenment. Enlightenment is basically when you have put your shadow side, your ego, to sleep, which is what I successfully had done. went back to the music industry for a couple of years, decided it was time to leave, and I'd been offered a lot of different record deals, but I hadn't signed any of them. Recorded a lot of records and things, had fun, but decided to start up a coaching company so that I could teach specifically women, but I do take male clients as well, but to teach people how to get to the level of inner peace and permanent happiness that I personally am at.
Is
And
that
so-
35 and up, or do you actually do younger?
So I say 35 and up because it doesn't put off the younger girls still show up. I had at one point I had 3 25-year-olds come in the same week, you know. So I do take younger, but at least it means they know they have to act grown. You
Yeah.
know? It's not like we're not dealing with the young, you know, if you're going to act like a 35-year-old, even if you're not, you know. And with men, we do take men, but they need to be men again that we're just like, hey, I really need to do this. There's a level of determination that's needed, extra determination that's needed for the men and for the girls that are a bit younger. And so that's it really. So I have a coaching company where I teach inner peace. I have coaches that work for me and so forth. And then since COVID came in, I was just guided, and I'm guided directly from God all day, every day. Like, can't switch it off if I want to. It's like, I call them my angels. It's a very casual voice that talks to me. And I was guided that it was time for me to, you know, speak up and start letting people know what was going on. So I told them where COVID had came from and what was going to happen next, and started becoming that person that knew the conspiracy side. And so I've been doing that throughout the whole of COVID, and now I'm being guided back to more of the spiritual enlightenment side, because obviously the way that the world's going, people doing their work on their inner peace is going to be the most important thing.
No, that's
Oh
facts.
my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Amelia Love has already in her introduction brung up some stuff I was going to ask in question.
Likewise, I'm like
Like-
already like, are you all in the notes? Like,
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Mr. Grantastic go first with his questions to begin the dialogue. Me and Christopher J are going to chime in dialogue, and then when I feel like my questions fit in, we're going to go there. Miss Amelia, listen. Flow. Don't hesitate. If you feel something, if someone in the audience, you feeling them, whatever, one of us, whatever, flow. This is a platform that by the grace of God I built. We have no filters. And we don't care about ideologies or theological backgrounds. So, with that being said, Mr. Grantastic, take it away.
Now I'm just gonna kind of start it light because when we found out that we were having Miss Amelia Love as a guest, the one thing, and I was looking through, so I definitely was looking through your Instagram and everything in the program. So I have questions about that as well. This is the one thing of, you know, like the protagonist, like that person who is just like, why would you invest in someone else's program to help you live better? You know, those kind of people. So what would you say to those people that are just like, why would you want to invest in someone else's program to help yourself? And when they're like, shouldn't you do that on your own? What would you say to like those kind of people?
So it's an interesting question. So, you know, we have client calls. The people that do well in my program are actually people that are already high vibe. They've already invested a lot of time and energy and money into their own self-development. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, they're aware that there's very few teachers that can actually finish the last 10%. And so when those people come to me, they're not questioning it. In fact, if anything, there is a voice in their head saying, this is what you need to do. I'm the last person to convince anyone that they should do this. Mm-hmm. In fact, I've even said if I was to go out on the street and try and force this on people to give it to them, they wouldn't do the work, because we're dealing with the human shadow, and the human shadow is naturally self-destructive. Mm-hmm. And so people that are already putting up those kind of questions, they're actually not the people this is for. Ooh. This is for future teachers, future leaders, those that really know that true inner peace is what they are working towards. And if you come in at a vibration of like 8, 9 out of 10, the chances are you could do this on your own. It just would take you 3 to 7 years to get there. Okay. Whereas if it's with me, you can get here in like 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. And that's the one thing of kind of looking through your program and everything. the one thing, so as an educator, so I'm a middle school teacher, so I teach math, right? So I was like looking and researching and doing it, and I'm just like, you know what this sounds like your target is? And again, tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. But I'm like, I feel as if in the teacher way, your target are like the high C, B kids in like the class. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the A's. And the A's
and
as
the
well.
A's.
Because the thing is, I mean, a lot of my clients are coaches. So a lot of, like, it's a really high percentage now. In my most advanced program, like 80% are coaches. They've either become coaches since they've been with me, or they came in as coaches. And this could be all kinds of coaches: educational coaches, health coaches, mindset coaches, happiness coaches.
Yeah, because I just love really what I feel as if your program kind of tackles, and I guess I'm looking at it from a lens of like an educator of like the kind of people who just need that little bump like over like the hump to get into, like you said, like that enlightenment of themselves. And I realized, and I took a look at myself and, you know, in our school system and who we acknowledge in schools, typically who we are quote unquote acknowledge and punish. And it seems like we focus a lot on like the D's and E students. That's the number one thing. So we're either punishing them, or we're trying to give them incentives to, hey, come to school, do better, like just false incentives. We give the kids that get straight A's, we give them cake, and we're just like pat on the back, but we don't really help them go like an over the hump or like an extra mile or leadership. And I was thinking, I was like, you know, this program just kind of gets to those kids that are like right there, that are, like you said, that have like that potential, that leadership potential. Because I realized my favorite students are typically like the B's and high C students. Not because of their education or their ability, but more or less of those are the people who still got to work a little bit. Like, it's not like we said earlier about education system. There's some people who just walk into the doors and they're going to get straight A's because this is what they do. They're shaped that way. This is their area. This is their court, their basketball field, their football field, whatever. It's a basketball court, football field. That's their thing. But then there's kids who do well that necessarily got to still work a little bit and get a little bit over the top. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That's why I really kind of saw about your program. And that's why I was like, oh man, this is good. Like, I think this is really needed.
And to piggyback off of that and to bring it to the adult level for a second, I feel like spiritually that a lot of people walk around like they're A and B students spiritually, but they're actually D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K element over here.
You're completely right. And in fact, the current situation on the planet, a lot of people have been surprised because there's people that were advertising themselves as spiritual healers, coaches, spiritual teachers, and yet they're spreading fear now, yet they're, completely oblivious to what's truly going on. And so this is a time when the true teachers and leaders are actually coming through and shining. And so it is quite interesting, about how people that would have been regarded 3-4 years ago as, some high level spiritual teacher, and now you're like, nope.
Yeah. It's a lot of what I've started to notice is a lot of, especially in the age of social media, it's a lot of people who they read a couple of quotes, they read a couple of books, but they haven't actually studied. They've Googled stuff, not realizing that Google is ran by a person. It's a website, just like any other website.
I'll give you that.
And they haven't finished the job. And there's a lot of superiority running through those people. They feel like they know more than the people they're around, so they feel like they know everything. It's like when people first discover this conspiracy stuff, they suddenly get this rush, this high, like, oh my god, I know what's going on in the world, no one else knows it, oh my god, I'm special. And then they realize that there's veterans like myself, and then people even more veteran than me, like Sean Sloan and Simon Parks, have been knowing this stuff 20 years. Like, you know what I mean? Robert Davis Still, like people that really have been doing this.
I had a former so I have another podcast I call Divergent, and I had a former CIA operative come on there and explain some of this to kind of support some of the things I say, because I'm young and a lot of people don't like listening to me because the way I don't have that. I still kind of have that intimidating look in person. So a lot of people don't really take what I say seriously, or they feel like they need to be shown a lot of evidence to prove what I'm saying. So I bring people on to that I know are higher and better than me in a lot of these areas, a lot of these fields, whether it's revealing conspiracies. I don't call them conspiracy theorists because it's not a theory; it's fact. And that's why I wanted you on the show as well, because a lot of people, first of all, my first thing I want to bring up to you and to let you talk is how does someone identify that they are experiencing a spiritual awakening? A lot of people feel like they've had a spiritual awakening, but in all actuality, they haven't. So can you define from your perspective what a spiritual awakening is and what it should actually do to an individual in their journey in this earth?
Okay, so my angels just gave me a really interesting visual as you asked that question. So they showed me, imagine you were going for 3 weeks in Tuscany in Italy on a vacation, and you've just arrived at your villa and you've put your suitcase on the floor, okay? And basically people that have experienced a spiritual awakening, they're seeing numbers, they're having coincidences happen, blah, 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 blah. That's the person on the day they arrived while they're still wearing the same clothes from the airplane. They've dropped their case on the floor. It's like them saying, wow, that was a great holiday. But the holiday hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So they feel like they've reached the destination. Technically they have. They're there. They're at the villa. But they haven't had the 3 weeks yet. They haven't eaten the fruit or ridden on the bikes or visited the markets or whatever. So it's kind of like they haven't. It's a lot of people think that they've arrived when actually they've just arrived. And there's a whole journey yet. Now, a lot of people that do my program 2 months later, they'll be like, oh, I'm having a spiritual awakening. I'll be like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock, because I cleared everything up to make that available to happen. So normally within a few months after the main completion of the program, then an even bigger awakening happens, and then they start downloading and they start receiving the information that they need about certain things. Like one of my clients who was not at all spiritual, 3 months after she graduated, she stayed in one of my ongoing programs for the advanced girls, and she literally downloaded an entire educational coaching program, like in the bath. It was like, she was like, oh my God. And so that's the thing, it only gets stronger. And I think one of the reasons why I'm called to sort of show myself and speak and show myself talking a lot to people is so people can realize that this is kind of the level you can aspire to spiritually, where you're in a peace permanently, and you're in full control of your mind, but you're also receiving constant information from outside of you, from God.
Okay.
So with that being said, based on what you're telling me about others, at what point, for the sake of transparency, at what point did you have an awakening, in a sense, for yourself? At what point was there an experience? And if you can describe that, again, for the sake of transparency, can you describe what experience you went through, what event, interaction, what is it that you went through for you to transcend to the next level, for you to be where you are now?
So immediately my answer is I went the long way. So I did the route. You know how I told you that the people that are in 8-9, that they could figure it out for themselves? It would just take them 3 to 7 years. Well, it'd be 3 to 7 years now, because where the Earth is in our universe, the part of the galaxy, things are sped up a lot. Whereas obviously I'm talking back in 2009, 10 years ago, so things were slower. So I went through a slower process. So the first process was my illness, which kept me in bed and made me basically study, because I just knew that was what I needed to do. So I guess that was the beginning, because there was just this hunger for knowledge and knowing that eventually I could figure my way out of this. And I knew on some level that there was something within my mind that I needed to fix. So that was the first part. But that was only the first layer, because that just got me to a level of intuition where I was able to tell the doctor a specific medicine that he should give me. And he was like, God, I'm happy to give you that. He practically lost his license trying to give me everything else, all these special things. and the one I needed in the end was something very simple. And as soon as I took it, I got better, and I was able to go back to the music industry. So then that second thing was the emotional experience, which was where basically I was offered it was like Cinderella. I was offered like the whole dream, and I literally just smashed the whole thing up and wrecked the whole thing. And I was like, why the hell did I do that? So that's when I wanted to realize, what was this thing inside me? Where did it come from? So that was like the second phase of the awakening. And then the third phase was going into mission. It's going into mission, and it's basically when you are fully in service to others and you decide, okay, this is what I need to do for other people. So when I first started my coaching company, I just wanted to help others. And so once you start doing that, I call it God drugs. So what happens is, as you do what you're supposed to do, what you came here to do, you get this natural high that's really, really amazing feeling.
Yeah.
And you start getting it when you're in mission. And so then information started coming to me of business information of how I could make this an effective business, and that it was a positive thing for me to charge money for my work, because the more that you can charge, the more people actually do the work, because it actually makes them do the work because they paid money. So it all started making, and then it started evolving from there. And then it's literally like the muscle, just through working with clients every day and me just being able to see and know things and starting to speak what I saw, and then confirming that what I was saying was something that I shouldn't know, like I just knew it. And so it was exercising the muscle over and over, day in, day out for a few years. So, but that's the slow process, like I said, because I had to figure this all out by myself. Now I have it distilled down into literally like a couple of weeks of specific work, and that can get you to the same level.
You know, it's crazy, and the sound you actually touched on. The next thing I wanted to dive into, a few things I wanted to dive into. First of all, you talked about what I would classify as spiritual cleansing. And you because you said people go through your program, and then you have to clear some stuff out, and then they're like, oh, I'm having a spiritual awakening kind of thing. Spiritual awakening happens through encounter as well. And you touched on something about arriving to the actual vacation destination, but you haven't experienced it yet. There's a lot of people who've arrived there but haven't how can I say it? They haven't had a spiritual experience in this whole thing. They've kind of just it's kind of like they're at the destination, they can see it, they can sense it, they've read books about it, but they haven't actually had life experience through it.
Kind of like the new feeling, like you get there, you're like, oh, I'm in a new place.
Yeah,
like,
I'm in a new place.
I'm
this
in
is
a,
nice,
like, this is nice. I heard this place was nice.
But they haven't experienced anything. And then there's a level of what I've found, especially during the pandemic, there's a level of arrogance that arises from people who just got off the airplane and went to baggage claim and got their luggage. And
no one else has been there before. It's the same thing as, again, with discovering the stuff about the the Illuminati thing. People are like, oh, like it is a superiority rush that comes in. It really is.
Yeah. So, well, before I talk about spiritual cleansing and stuff, and anything you guys want to ask and chime in into the discussion so far?
I think we're flowing pretty good.
Yeah, and I really think that like spiritual cleansing part is very, very important, and I think people don't want to do that.
No. In fact, most people would rather die than do that.
Yes, like seriously.
And most people do. That's why there's like 65-year-old children walking around still, because they haven't done the work.
I mean, I'll give you some.
Can I? So on the Chew on That show, listen, on True Radio, this is what we do. If we slap the shoulder, that means that that what you said was so fire. I slap shoulder, they take sips. This is.
And I wear clothes large enough for them to do that. My shoulders are big enough for that. So, in reference to that, and honestly, any kind of cleansing, emotionally, mental, spiritual, it does require a certain level of discipline, accountability, holding your feet to the fire. I realize in today's generation we have a lot of I need an accountability partner because we don't want to do it by ourselves. In fact, we don't like being by ourselves.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
which is understandable. However, elevation does in fact require a portion of time where you are isolated.
Absolutely.
So
I actually like to even say that if you don't like being alone, your prescription is you need to be alone.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
I mean, to some, isolation is a horse pill.
You
to
know,
those who don't like taking medicine.
My issue is I like being alone too much.
Yeah.
Because I found out that when I come from being alone, that people misunderstand your intentions. They misunderstand your moves. They begin to question your character based upon misunderstandings. And I'm too violent for that. I haven't.
Just hold on. I was getting something important then. So it was like, as you said that, hold on, I almost need you to repeat what you're saying because I was getting a message for you. It was quite interesting. So you said that you enjoy time alone so much and that when you go outside after that, people misunderstand you. The reason why is because your stillness within is triggering their demons. And so that is the misunderstanding. So what it is you're having a choice to either be, it's like either be as toxic as them and then they don't recognize you, or you go alone and then that purifies you and makes your light bright. But then that means when you're out there, you're becoming like your eyes, your soul becomes like a mirror to what they need to heal within themselves. And so that's why they misunderstand you. The solution is to do the alone time, expect people to be triggered by you, and just be very selective of who you be around.
Grantastic. Christopher James, somebody say something. Wow. Okay.
Is that like remind you of the what you would call it, the poem? Hold on, let me just see if I have it. Happen to have it right here. Oh yeah, Our Deepest Fears. Does that like remind you of that poem a little bit? I don't know why I just happen to have this on the paper, but right here. But no, that's really real though. That was
And
for
then
you
of
though.
course when you talk about the violent side as well, because I used to have that. I used to have I had a real temper. That's why once I managed to get my ego under control, I knew I could help anybody else because mine was a beast. Mine was a real beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And so, and that's why, you know, I take on like the most alpha strong women, particularly that no one else would normally be able to deal with them, but I know I can deal with them.
And you know, I'm sorry, Miss Amelia, go ahead.
But yeah, no. So when you talk about the violence thing, so you see what's also happening is basically there is a battle between light and dark going on within and without. And so with you, if you spend the time alone and you are in your peace and then you go outside, they misunderstand you because of, like we already said, because you're reflecting back to them what they need to heal. But at the same time, if you then get triggered by them, it then brings you back to your old base self as well. So
Yes.
that's why you have to be selective of who you're around and where you go. And you have to, and you also need to wear like crystal jewelry and stuff because you are of a higher level being then, and so you have to understand that you are going to impact other beings, and so you just become aware of it.
Wow. Yeah, and I used to be I'm a former fighter, boxer. A lot of my friends are fighting on TV now, and I didn't take it as serious as them due to lack of discipline and stuff. I love food too much, and but
David Rodriguez is a good friend of mine, so I do understand like a lot. Of stuff.
Okay, nice. You said Edwin Rodriguez?
No, David Rodriguez.
David Rodriguez. Okay, that's what's up. And wow, those words were powerful. I liked hearing that. It gave some clarity. What are some steps someone could take? Say someone has the boldness to self-isolate and to try to, how can I say it? Try to face themselves. What are some tools they can have to, first of all, face themselves and then do some spiritual cleansing? as well.
I mean, obviously, like I said, it's a choice to do it yourself, because like we do offer a free call. So if someone wants help, they can have a free call, and we'll help give guidance to
And
anybody.
and where can they find that at? Plug it in.
That's
Plug
just
it in.
you just click the link in the bio on my Instagram, or you go to howtobehappy.com, spelt with a letter B, howtobehappy.com, or amelialoveworld.com. But on the Instagram, you just click the link in the bio and it takes you straight through. But if somebody wants to do that, what I recommend they do is, first of all, yes, make sure your house is clean and you're clean. First thing. I know it sounds like a random thing, but we talk about, cleanliness is close to godliness.
Yes.
It's very important that you and your house is clean before you start doing any spiritual work, because the dirt attracts the darker energies. Okay.
Yes.
Then I recommend thinking about your mind as if it's like got this dusty attic upstairs that no one ever wants. You don't want to go in there. There's cobwebs in there. There might be ghosts in there, and you just don't want to go there. And I actually say, go upstairs and open the door, go have a look, open the window, turn on the light, walk around, clean the place up. Actually go and see what's in there, because what happens is the shadow, the darkness, the ego, it makes it seem so much scarier than it really is. I'm talking about, you could be someone who's murdered people, done all sorts of stuff, but you can still go up there and deal with it. That's the point. So for most people, they haven't done such bad things, but if you have, you can still go up there and deal with it. It tries to pretend that it's scarier than it is. Okay.
Wow.
So you go up there, and what you actually end up finding is, rather than being this really scary demons that you thought, they're actually more like children in just like sheets in Halloween. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
isn't that much, no matter how bad things are that you've done, because typically what animal created that animal is what I say, or what beast created that beast. So if you have done dreadful things, typically there's somebody that did dreadful things to you before that triggered you to behave that way. So then once you can forgive them and forgive yourself, now you're releasing yourself from the cycle.
Yes. Yes.
I do believe in that.
Yes, no, I definitely agree. I feel like I'm kind of like in that spot. I think really during this time of COVID, I was, cause I think at one point I thought I was like at the vacation spot, and that was the hot stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is a nice spot, that's cool, and almost as if like I got there and I was like, y'all, we got here, let's turn around and go back home. But I had like time to kind of sit and, like you said, of going into the attic, going into and dusting and seeing what it is, because it's like, because I think for myself and my isolation was because, like, not that I felt like if I would be misinterpreted, but is that I wasn't actually impacting anything on the outside. So I would isolate myself, just be like, all right, I'm not on such and such level, I'm not impacting, I'm gonna go ahead and just isolate. But really kind of taking that time to look at my demons, look at the things that kind of triggered me, what was affecting me, and a lot of stuff I realized, I was like, I was taking some things from people that they were giving to me. Like, I wasn't necessarily saying this was like my thought process. I just kind of took on what some other people left in the attic, or like you said, like what people have done to you, and you taking that and you're kind of rolling around with that. And that's what I said about that cleansing part, man, because that's powerful with that. So even in like the first step of that is so powerful.
I mean, the thing is go in. I mean, like, I would say, something that I could give as homework for everyone to do is to sit there with a piece of paper and think of the 3 worst things you've ever done in your life.
Oh my God.
And with that piece of paper, just write 1 word or 2 words to represent the scenario. So no one else in the world has to know what it means. You know what I'm saying? Think of the 3 worst things you've ever done in your life, and just actually address that to start with. Address them, but then look at it and look at yourself with compassion and be like, you know what? I was doing the best I knew how at the time. I didn't know any better. And so you're already like, you're facing the worst stuff. If you can think of the 3 worst things you've done, and then think of the 3 people that have hurt you the worst in your life, and then look at how them hurting you in the way they did has actually benefited you in the present now, about whether it helped you develop strength or resilience, or it's helped you to be able to help other people that have suffered with a similar thing, so on. So you're rewriting your history now. So you're taking the worst 3 things that people have done to you, and you've turned it into the fact that you wouldn't change it, even though it wasn't fun at the time. But the fact is, it's made you who you are now, and you wouldn't change that. So
Yes.
You're now accepting your history, and in your present, you're accepting of your past.
I'm glad you said that, because right now I'm going through a situation where I realize that I'm going through this situation again because I didn't learn a lesson beforehand, and that was to not devalue myself to make other people feel comfortable.
Well, yeah, because devaluing yourself is showing a lack of self-love. So the thing is, the true secret to everything is self-love. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm just too nice to people." It's like, no, you just don't love yourself enough. You see what I'm saying? It's like sometimes you have to be that blunt, because we're taught not to love ourselves. We're taught that it's nowhere. In fact, when you're someone who loves yourself the way I do, you trigger the shit out of everybody, because they're like, "Whoa, you're not meant to like yourself that much," and I'm like, "Oh no, I love me." You know? And
Yeah.
so the thing is self-love is the root. So if there's one thing for people to know, it is like working on your self-love. I have a free affirmation track. This is not so suitable for men. I do need to make one for men, but for any women out there, there's a free affirmation track, which again is, you just click the link in the bio, scroll down and download it. And this is where you can start identifying which stories you've been telling yourself, like, "I'm not worthy of love," or I'm not good enough," or "I'm not beautiful enough," or "I'm not this enough," or whatever. "I'm not worthy of this," or whatever it is. So self-love is really what it comes down to. And there's all these stories we tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm being too nice," or "I'm too loyal." And again, it's like, no, you're just not valuing yourself first and foremost. It's like on the airplane, you have to put your gas mask on first before you put it on the children. So it's like, you have to love yourself first, so that you can then make good choices of who's around you and how you want to treat them.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
so
powerful, yo.
so listen. We're gonna take a quick 2.2 minute break, and when we come back, we are going to continue the discussion and the dialogue with the fantastic, phenomenal Amelia Love. We'll be right back after this quick 2.2. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Randy Chew, aka Mr. Chew on that, and I am here with my illustrious co-host,
Christopher J, aka I'm him, aka Mr. Essential.
and I'm here also with my featured co-host.
It's your boy, Mr. Grandtastic, aka the Professor, aka Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
And I am here with the lovely Amelia. Say hi to the people.
Hi, everybody.
Listen, I'm going to let Christopher J start off, go to Grandtastic, and Miss Amelia's going to respond to them. Then I want Miss Amelia to plug all her stuff. Listen, this is just the beginning of the Chew Nation's relationship with Miss Amelia and all her work. So, Chew Nation, please support her. She will be giving all her social media plugs and websites, and I will be giving them even after she gets off the show tonight, and I will be posting them as well. So, Christopher J, take it away.
Man, all right. So, if you've been listening thus far, one of the highlights for me would be the addressing of light and dark energy. And for those who may be, I don't know, less exposed, to dumb it down, I guess maybe the yin to some yangs. For those who may have not that good of an example, you have your good, your bad, your hot, your cold, your ups, your downs, your north, your south, east, west, whatever. The point of the matter is that there is in fact a balance. And I know you said that you wanted us to reference where we are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So where I am in my life, 30 years old, single, no kids. And I'm looking to be everything that my father was not. That's deep rooted for me. With that comes a lot of pain, emotional, mental, physical. I one day hope to have I hope to never feel, I'm sorry, not have, but I hope to never feel what my siblings, including myself, feel towards my father, for my children to feel towards me. I hope to never have my wife feel towards me how my mom, who's married to my father, to feel towards my father. And this is where transparency comes into play, something that I feel like a lot of people lack is transparency. And that, in fact, requires a certain level of discipline in order to get to the next level of growth. So people who know who I am today know that I'm a very selfless individual, very generous, giving. But I had to learn the lights and the darks of that by giving so much of myself that I became empty. And all that I had left was bitterness and resentment. And I realized that there was a slow rising comparison to be close to my father, whom I did not want to be anything like. And so with that, I began to acknowledge I guess, in how you said, Amelia, a dark side or a dark energy. Therefore, I had to buckle down and acquire a new level of discipline to hold my feet to the fire, in a sense, to grow from that. Because I know that there's lights and darks, but I do realize that there is a reward and a consequence for every decision that we make. We all talk about the good, the bads, the uglies, the indifference, but I do realize that there is a certain level of work that is required for them. And I did not run from that work. So I've done that work. I'm at the greatest portion of my life that I've ever been at 30 years old. Despite what's going on in 2020, I am blessed. And I look forward to 2021. I have a newly acquired taste for 2020. No pun intended with COVID not being able to taste, but I have a newly acquired taste. Yeah, I'm here till Thursday, right? With these next few months, I'm going to make some huge transitions, and 2021 is going to be more of a clear vision than 2020.
Oh yeah, it's going to be the year of love for sure. It really is, and it's going to be going to be lighter and brighter than anything we've ever seen before. Yeah. So first of all, to have that sort of the resentment or the unforgiveness energy towards father is normal for men, and with women it's typically mother. Now it's not an all rule, but it's like 70-80%, and if it isn't, then it's vice versa. It's mother or it's a stepfather, a step parent, or a sibling, but typically the same sex parent is where the food of the ego is stored. So inside everybody is the higher self, the connection to God, and then there's the shadow, which is the ego, which is the self-destructive force that's within all of humanity. If anyone says they don't have an ego, they're lying, because I still have one. I just am able to not listen to it or be controlled by it in any way.
Yes.
So what's happened, you see, is that the shadow within, it's actually trying to lead you towards self-destruction, ultimately suicide. So when people commit suicide, it's because their ego actually got full control. So thoughts of separation from God creates the ego. As well as that, what its food is unforgiveness, typically towards a parent, or again a sibling, but typically a parent. And so what happens is, what I'm being told with yourself is, you see, often in this world of duality, the darkness is actually showing us the way, because it's showing us the way not to be. So it's quite common. I've actually seen it quite a few times where a guy is able to learn from what his father's mistakes were, so that he can come into service and be who he came here to be. Because actually his dad, before he incarnated down here, chose to have that life so that that son could make sure that he was on the right track in this life, in this time, to do what he came down here to do. So it's almost like a signpost. So understanding that your dad was actually a signpost for you to be. If your dad had not been as he was, you would not be as you are now. So being able to release that and actually be grateful for all the experiences, as bad as they were, to understand that what's most important is that you are on track now, in this time, in this place. Now, so main notes I wrote is that it's normal and common for it to be father, and normal and common for a guy to actually be like, I'm not going to be like my dad, I'm going to be the opposite. What's not known a lot is that actually, if you can actually take that energy and actually see, and this will be hard, and you will be like, you won't be able to do it in this moment, but if you're able to see that everything your father did was so that you can be who you are meant to be here now, because who we are now in this time, where we are in the galaxy and where we are in this ascension process and this transition into this new earth, generations back made so many sacrifices for all of us to be here now and to be doing what we are doing now, and for us to wake up now and for us to be who we are now. Does that make sense? So it's like you have gratitude going back through your family lineage for that. The other thing is, yes, again, we're in duality. So a lot of the time, I just keep getting it like a signpost. Like I used to be told, like, that certain people, for example, have gone down the wrong road, so that people can say, oh, I don't need to go down. That's not the road for me. I saw how that turned out. I don't want that. But please understand that I do know that forgiveness of that key parent, the main food for the ego will literally do anything but to give up that food. It will do anything to give up that food. And that is why it's so important that you actually do it. And with forgiveness is a word that's very much misunderstood. So forgiveness does not mean what they did was okay. Forgiveness does not let them off the hook. Forgiveness does not mean you have to let them know they're forgiven. And forgiveness does not mean you're to reconnect with them. Forgiveness is letting yourself release the energy and turning that energy into an energy of love and appreciation, because that is what's created what you are now. And so you're giving yourself the gift of peace because you love yourself enough to give yourself that peace.
That is hot monkey lava. Woo! Just marinate. Grandtastic, your turn. Go. Cause we gotta let her go.
Okay, you're right.
We don't want to drain too much of her energy. We want to let her go. So Grandtastic, you go. You marinate. You go.
Okay. So I think for myself, and like I was saying kind of earlier, I feel as if that I am in a position where I am starting to be more like myself, and getting to know myself and unlocking that. I think people are like, I'm trying to get to know myself. Like I know who I am. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. I just kept locking in a way. And I don't know. I guess to make the people around me feel more comfortable. I feel as if now, and kind of like where Christopher J was saying with like the issues with my father, that, and I was listening to him and I realized that I've let go of my issues with my father actually recently. And I think the only thing I asked for is just I wanted to know more about him because I have like certain traits of his. Like I'm able to I'm very handy, no training, nothing like that. And then I hear from somebody that was like, oh yeah, your dad used to build stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I never knew anything about the guy. Never met him. So I feel as if like I'm unlocking myself. I feel as if I'm getting past my, like letting go my issues with my father. I'm learning more about my mother because she didn't really speak of her past of anything. We didn't really have like a talking relationship. We have a bad relationship. We just didn't have a talking relationship. And I'm learning more about her and her trauma and her triggers and how that impacted me growing up, in which her traumas and triggers were actually keeping me locked away for her own kind of codependency way. She wanted to keep me close so that like I wouldn't go away like other people. So I'm learning that now, and it's a little bit of a conflict of like trying to break that, but it's definitely not bad. And then trying to really connect to the strength of my ancestors is where I kind of feel as if I am right now. And because I'm learning more about my grandmother who passed a couple years ago, my aunt who passed a couple years, like no one talks to my family. Like we just legit live and die and no one talks about each other. About like none of the great things. I didn't know my aunt played ball in college until she set a screen on some 6'5" dude and she's 4'11". So, and he stopped. She stopped him in the track. And I was like, that was a nice screen. She's like, yeah, I play ball in college. You play ball in college? No one told me. So that's, I think, where.
By the way, he is a phenomenal basketball player and a basketball coach. Just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, go ahead.
So that's kind of where I feel as if just really trying to learn and connect to the strength of my ancestors, because I gotta unlock this person who I am, so that like I can be comfortable in being me and where I'm supposed to be and what like God needs me to do and needs me to be. Because I feel as if I lost some time, not because of just stupid things. It's just I kept locking myself in that away.
Yeah, so what I'm getting with you is, when you were talking about like locking yourself away, putting other people's feelings first, that's very similar to your friend with regards to it is a lack of love for self. So you have to like just own it and just be like, I didn't love myself enough because it's like, do you love you more or them more? It's like you have to love you first. It's like if you're making your decisions based upon their feelings over your own, then you are hurting yourself. Not only are you hurting yourself, you're building up a volcano moment, because at some point you're going to explode. Facts. And it will be totally inappropriate because you will have stuffed it down for so long. So it's very important, especially when you have a background in your family of not speaking, for you to authentically speak and to allow people to hear your words, how you feel in that moment, because otherwise they're going to get something else. They're going to get the volcano at some point.
Very true.
So that's the first one. The other thing is something that's very helpful. It'll be helpful to all three of you. And I want to also let all three of you know that I'm really, really proud of you. Like, this is so unusual to have, strong alpha men that are able to speak and be vulnerable while still being strong alpha men. I mean, this is amazing. And this is what the world needs. So I just want you, all three of you, to know I'm so proud of you. It's amazing. But this is how you grow. This is how you do it. And this is how we create the teachers that are going to heal everybody else, because especially this is what's needed in the Black community. Young Pharaoh is going to do my program. He keeps asking me about it.
Yeah.
But this is what's needed, especially if you caught what I was the podcast I was doing with Dr. Chanel and Pharaoh, where we talked about the baby elephants and like how that's been affecting. Would you like me to repeat the thing about the baby elephants?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, because it's really interesting. But what I would say is something that will be important for all three of you, but specifically, it's come up with you, is that we talk about writing down the positive traits and negative traits of both parents. Write them down and actually do it. and ask around people that knew them until you can get these traits. Get these traits and understand you have the ability to embody all of the traits, the good and the bad. So now you can make the decision to which ones you want to embody and which ones you don't. But understand you have the potential for all of them, because you are literally the more evolved version of both your parents. It's just, that's basically what you all are.
Yeah.
And so the other thing, as you said, letting go of the issues to do with dad. So letting go is reaching a place of neutrality. It's halfway to forgiveness, but that's not forgiveness. People think forgiveness is when there's no more anger. No, forgiveness is when you can literally see love and light beaming out of that person, and you're able to understand the lesson that they were here to teach you.
I agree with that.
Gotcha.
That and that in itself requires work. That in itself is a choice. You are you are choosing to see that.
So
Yeah.
So Amelia, before I let you go, as you were speaking, there was some things that came to me. I want to throw at you, and I'm kind of rusty with my vibing skills. So I'm just shaking the cobwebs off. But one, there's a book that you're supposed to be writing that you need to write immediately to release a new book. I don't know if you wrote a book before, but I know that there's a book in you that you need to release immediately in 2021. Secondly, you need to host webinars where, I don't know if you want to charge a fee or not. That's up to whatever you decide to do, but you need to host webinars on spiritual cleansing and spiritual awakening. Secondly, out of that webinar, you're going to find young women and young men that's going to want to be what I call discipled by you, mentored by you, that can carry on your not only your legacy but your teachings, and also your kind-heartedness, and that spread amongst the earth. And I feel like it's going to be multiple races, multiple male and females, and you'll be surprised. It might be more males than females that actually do it. And then there's
just to interject, I do know I'm meant to find, there is a coach, there is some man that I'm going to train to be my male coach, but I haven't got him yet.
Okay. 45 days you'll get him. When you get him, I want you to call me. 45 days from now. And then you need to take a breather for 2 days. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I feel like it's going to happen in the near future. You need to take a rest for 2 days where you just take 2 days to yourself. Also, as you were talking, I wanted to say this, and then I promise I'll let you go. I'm sorry I kept you on the line this long.
Very helpful what you're saying.
I've been struggling with this issue of sometimes I really and I know it's a mental issue. It's a mental battle that I have. Just to be transparent on the air for a moment, is I have a heart to place people. I have a heart of humility. I really want to see people shine and grow and evolve, and I don't necessarily care about the round of applause or people acknowledging me in public, but I long for a personal touch with individuals, and I'll say it like this, like, I've been doing radio since 2013. I did from 2013 to 2017, then I stopped, and then I relaunched earlier this year. When I started my radio show in 2013, it blew up fast. It was nationwide very fast. And I didn't realize how powerful my platform was at that moment because I was so involved in work and doing grassroots works, and I'm always the type of person where I would rather big up the person next to me than to big up myself. I've always been that way. And I realize it's placed me in position where I run into key people. And they have the platforms and the big spotlights. And I realize that I'm an influencer to those who have influence.
It's kind of similar to myself.
Yeah. But sometimes I get a little discouraged because the people that I want to acknowledge me don't. And I want you to speak on that to me for a little bit, and then I promise I'll let you go after that.
Okay. So the first thing I get is it's the timing. You know, if I look at like this last couple of years, it's been so interesting. You know, my journey back in like 2009, 2011, that's when I sort of discovered Simon Parkes, was avidly following him and learning from him. And then in February of last year, I did a one-to-one call with him, and he told me who I was spiritually, and it was pretty dramatic stuff, to the extent where he was like, let's swap phone numbers, let's stay in touch, now we're friends. You know, like I said, he sits there and we send each other little videos and memes every day and stuff.
Yeah.
And then Kerry Cassidy, probably one of the most intimidating women on the planet. I organized a round table for her just the other week. I never dreamed that I would ever have contact with someone like Kerry Cassidy. Sean Stone has one of the greatest bodies of work. His Enter the BuzzFeed is basically one of the greatest conspiracy theory sort of bodies of work. And yet, again, he's my friend. He was messaging me today about some stuff. So what I'm saying is that the people that you look up to, it's a matter of time and just in a matter of you stepping forward and not playing small. I think there's a bit of an element of you playing small. I think maybe when you were a kid, there was some time when you just wanted to be invisible. You wanted to be small. And so now it's almost like you need to practice putting your arms out and just taking up your space and being like, I'm here. This is my space. You know,
Yeah.
I think that you've been playing it small and you need to play it big, because that's what we need. That the world needs you to play it big. But the people that you want to have acknowledge you, it will happen. But there's some work for you to do first, because I would never have imagined in my life that I would have Laura Eisenhower, Sean Stone, Simon Parkes, Kerry Cassidy messaging me in one day, when I would never have even thought that I'd ever even know them. So it's just like, this stuff comes. It comes and it will come. And don't seek their approval. You just get on with it. And there's one lady who I did seek her approval a year ago. I messaged, when I say that, I sent her a message saying, hey, we're meant to be working together. And she didn't acknowledge it. And then just the other day, we were on a round table together, and now I'm here. And now I'm able to help. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So allow time to do its thing.
Okay.
Don't try, because sometimes seeking to control is where we need to. If there's an area where we're seeking to control, it's often a sign that it's an area we need to release and be a little bit more easy about it. And I get that. Sorry, because you guys have got all these names and you introduce yourselves, why I'm finding it hard to grab everyone's name. But lovely gentleman in the middle, I was being told that as well is reference to you. So I have to just see what the message was. I was getting a message. Let me see. This happens, especially when I'm tired. I hear the message and then it starts going. But this was like to do with like, you know, you wanting to make sure that, you know, that you're not going to be like your dad, and, you know, so you basically want to be a great father and a great husband, and, you know, and all these things. At the same time, don't hold on to it so tight. You're naturally going to do that. So don't hold it too tight. So if you hold it too tight, you can be like a lovely, lovely man that I know of, who literally, it's like you can end up being overprotective, either of your children or of yourself or of your, does that make sense? So just don't let it go to the other extreme, because that's what can happen. It's like a pendulum. It can swing one way or the other. We want to be somewhere in the middle.
That's right. I guess in that case, too much of a good thing can be bad.
Yes. So balance.
Wow.
Balance. And then, like I said, just not playing a general message, not playing small. and allow the acknowledgement comes, but sometimes the seeking of it is what scares it away. When you don't seek it anymore, eventually it just comes in. You just keep working. You just keep working. You keep working for God. You keep working to help others. You keep working in service. You keep clearing your heart out, working from heart, but knowing first and foremost you have to love yourself, because loving yourself is what creates you into a true new earth warrior, which is what we all are.
Wow. So listen, before I let you go, please plug in any social media or anything you have upcoming, and then I'll let you go.
Okay, well, I also want to thank you for your messages. Yes, there is a book that I thought about writing many years ago, so maybe that's the one, because I'm working towards making some transitions so I'd have more time. The 2 days off is going to be this weekend. It has to be. And hosting the webinar thing, that kind of makes sense for me to be doing something that's a little bit more tangible. But the difference is I really like to get the job done, and my program gets the job done the 6 weeks. So it's like, I feel like doing like one lesson is just giving a taster, but a taster may well be what I need to do. And it can also help to activate people a little bit. Main place to find me is Instagram. That's where I am most active. That's Amelia Happiness Guru. I do have a YouTube, Amelia Happiness Guru, which I keep forgetting to put things on. But I have some pretty major interviews on there and roundtables with Young Pharaoh and Simon Parks and people like that. I will be doing Twitter soon. I've reignited my Twitter from 7 years ago, and that's just Amelia Happiness. Facebook, Amelia Love. And again, the website's amelialoveworld.com and howtobehappy.com, but just spelt with a letter B. So howtobehappy.com.
Okay.
And anyone can book a free call. It will be with myself or my coach, who's my CEO, Alicia Bravo, who's actually better at teaching my program than I am. So if you book a call and you get a call with Alicia, be glad, because she is phenomenal. And she literally was sent by God to help me with this mission. So I could not be more grateful for her. Oh, and imminently, I'm waiting on it, I will be bringing out a clothing line within the next few days, maybe week or two, and it will be to do with awareness, and it will be so that people can wear these clothes, and it will just start helping to trigger the awakening within other people.
Okay. Nice. Listen, everyone on Chew Nation, please go support, subscribe, the whole nine to Miss Amelia Love, everything she has going on. We definitely, in the future, will have her back on the show. Support her, and I mean that, seriously. We're going to let her go. We know she's exhausted. We want her to get refilled, recharged, re-energized. We're going to take a quick 2.2 minute break. When we come back, we're going to give our final thoughts and close out the show. But Miss Amelia, thank you for coming on. You are part of Chew Nation. Send Young Pharaoh our love, and you keep doing what you're doing, because it's powerful and it's changing lives. We'll be right back after this quick 2.2.
question why are we here and why do we die? Why are our cities all gentrified and why do blacks still gotta struggle to survive? It's ludicrous, corruption governs ain't new to this. Started off when the plagues had hit and the bodies of the less fortunate started stoking all the royal furnaces. They stealing money out of everybody and all the single mothers' purses. It's a shame to me to see these boys out in the streets who slanging dope so they can eat while Senate waited on hands and feet the same Senate that breeds poverty and gave that same dope to the teens in the streets in the 70s. So chew on that, just chew on that. I'm cooking up some food for thought, so just sit back, relax and chew on that.
Chew it,
Just chew on that.
chew it.
I'm cooking up some food for thought, so just sit back, relax and chew on that. Chew on that.
Chew it,
Chew on that. Chew on that.
chew it.
Chew on that. Chew on that. I'm cooking up some food for thought, so just sit back, relax and why does everybody lack empathy? Why do we see each other as enemies? Even in relationships, when faced with a discrepancy, words get used as weaponry instead of taking time to breathe separately. Seek some calm and clarity and view the situation sensibly. They taking our heart and they taking our souls. They stealing our hope, leaving bodies stone cold. They feeding us cancer and lies about the ozone. But y'all still believe in the news about the dead toll. So open your eyes up and soon we can rise up. Try expanding your energy, realize that guys are what we lacking in empathy ain't from within us, but it's taught from a system that we need today's trust. So chew on that, just chew on that. Just cooked you up some food for thought, so just sit back, relax and chew on that.
Chew it,
Just chew on that.
chew it.
I just cooked you up some food for thought, so just sit back, relax and chew on that. 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 Chew on that.
Chew it,
I served you up some food for thought, so just sit back, relax and chew on that.
chew it.
Listen, it's your boy Randy Chew, aka Mr. Chew on that,
Chew on that.
aka Mr. Slap Your great
There you go.
great grandmother, and I'm here with my illustrious co-host.
Illustrious. I love that word. Hey, it's your boy Christopher J, aka Mr. I'm Him, aka Mr. Essential.
Oh, and it's your boy.
No,
Mr.
hold on. If he go another week without saying my favorite AKA, we're gonna have a serious problem.
Look, and it's your boy, Mr. Skirt.
Okay, there we
That's
go.
all
There
you
we
wanted.
go.
That's all you wanted.
Okay.
I only do that to the people that.
Oh man, I was waiting for the shoulder slap, man.
I only do that to the people that's deserving. We had look.
That's a dry
The last name of our guest host was Love, and I don't need to be skirt, and anybody that's I'm trying to show love to.
All right, I
Come
give you
on,
that.
man.
I give
Come
you
on,
that. I
man.
give you that.
You talking about you the master? Come on, man. I've been learning, bruh.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Man, go ahead, man, with all the names and stuff. Go ahead.
Yo, I don't have all of them.
Nah.
It's, your boy, it's Mr. Grandtastic, aka the Professor, aka you reach I teach because that's what I do for a living.
Don't
All
stop till you
right.
get it now. Come on.
AKA don't stop till you get it now.
Exactly.
AKA smooth criminal.
Yeah.
And I
AKA bald
You
is
not-
beautiful.
And I just want to say we had a very powerful show today, and if you are 300 pounds,
Stop talking about. Stop. Look.
this show does not apply to you.
Yes, it does.
It
Because
does.
yes, it does. Because if you know what, if you,
You
want to make a
cannot
change,
get spiritual awakening if
skirt,
you are
skirt. That's
obese.
That's why my name is that. If you need change in your
Disclaimer,
life,
Grandtastic loves the.
as an educated right here, he's an educated. Okay. What you know, I'm gonna do the work to help you grow, even if that means losing pounds. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey, come on, man. We not.
I know. We appreciate them.
we
Cold
don't-
peanut butter.
We
This
all
is
love,
amazing.
no hate, and we surely don't discriminate. We just educate.
Not at all.
We just educate.
Educate. If
We
you
just
thick
educate.
like cold peanut butter, we still love you. It's okay. Freezer peanut butter.
Jiffy looking ass over
If you look like Aunt Jemima,
Hey. I'll take Aunt Jemima over Miss Butterworth any day.
listen, you guys, all seriousness, I know we got to end the show, but
Yeah, I know.
Christopher J. and then Grantastic, what was your thoughts about today's show?
Man, there was a lot, but one thing's for sure, two things for certain. It is going to take a certain level of discipline in order to acquire that of which, amongst the list of things that we discussed tonight, it's going to take a certain level of discipline. And that story that I gave the last episode, not last week's because I wasn't here, but the week before that, that story that I gave.
There was no shoulder slaps last week.
No, none at all.
Okay.
None at all. But nonetheless, the story that I gave, you can like where you're at, but if you want to make a change, you're going to have to do it yourself. It's going to require a certain level of discipline. And what you don't change, you choose. And what you choose to stay in, and you complain about later, is because obviously it didn't hurt enough or didn't warrant a change for you within yourself. It's going to take a certain level of discipline. So amongst the yin, the yang, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the hot, the cold, the hot monkey lava, and the ice cold Arctic polar bears hot pots. Yeah, I got one for you.
I like that. Yeah.
You got to make that change for yourself. You got to do yourself a favor. Look in the mirror for something other than the J's that you wear or the lashes on your face during these fall and winter winds that will blow you away. Okay? Do something for yourself. You got to make a change. But that's going to require some work. So when you're ready to do that work, make that change. Hit up somebody who can help push you. Don't be afraid of that boot to butt. I was going to say boot to ass.
Everyone that pushes you is not your enemy.
Correct.
Yes.
Know the difference between someone who's trying to batter you and someone who is trying to better you.
Yes.
Message.
Yes.
Don't shoulder slap. I ain't got time.
Yeah.
So I will end on this of learn yourself, love yourself, appreciate yourself.
Oh!
Yeah. That's why I took the sip. It wasn't for me. It was for you.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have known that was coming on that.
Yeah.
Now I know how you feel. It just get all the fabric back.
Yeah. Wear bigger shirts, nigga.
I've been
trying to
doing
slip.
shoulder
I'm trying
slaps
to-
since like the 4th, 5th episode. We on episode 32 right now.
That's true. We just need just a montage of shoulder slaps.
I'm wearing
That's what
dry
we need to
fit.
do.
I'm wearing
Yeah.
dry fit from
I'm
now
gonna
on.
edit the
Yes,
shoulder
please do.
slaps and put them on Instagram
That's
and
what we need to
YouTube.
do. That's
Of
exactly
all
what
the
we do.
shoulder slaps.
All the shoulder slaps.
The comment and then the shoulder slap. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like with
Learn
some-
yourself, love yourself,
like
appreciate
the music
yourself.
in the background from Shaft, like bow. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
cannot. Learn yourself, love yourself, appreciate yourself, and let your light shine. Definitely, I say that don't be afraid of the amazing person that you can be.
Message.
Put in the work, like Christopher J said. Put in the work to get to that spot, and when you get there, I'll drink in a second. It's that.
That we're inadequate.
We're not.
Is that the word adequate? Hold on. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Yes.
It is our light,
Yes.
not our darkness,
Preach,
that
sir.
most frightens us.
Yes, Lord. Preach. Sir.
What else?
Oh, y'all want me to read the whole thing?
No.
Go
Go.
But definitely.
We got time today.
But when you, again, learn yourself, love yourself, appreciate yourself, be okay with the amazing person you can be if you put in the work. And when you get to that place where you start to find that amazing person, don't be impressed by the fact that you just got to a new place. Don't be impressed because you got off the plane and you taking pictures, you put it on Instagram. You haven't lived it yet. So once you get there,
Message.
you got to grow in it. You got to live in it and embrace it. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be pretty. But the thing is, it's going to be unapologetically you. And that's all you can do is let your light shine.
Ain't no Instagram likes over here. Except the ones on my page. Hey, shout out to y'all.
Listen,
I know that's right, yeah.
I'm gonna say this.
What you gonna say?
Tonight's show was powerful.
Eh,
It was encouraging.
eh,
It was inspirational.
eh.
And, you know, I'm going to strive to no longer devalue myself based upon intimidating others. But I'm going to continue to use my platform to uplift those who have the potential to do greater than me. Whether they choose to view me a certain way or not, whether they choose to hate on me or not, whether they choose to look for character flaws or not, at the end of the day, I don't care about none of that. What I care about is when I die, I want those same people to realize that a young black man came from nothing, built something, and wanted to use his platform to elevate other people. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of sacrifices that I don't talk about. There's a lot of things I've done that I don't talk about. Shout out to the new Anne Arundel County Chief of Police, by the way.
When you got it out the mud, yeah.
You know, it's a lot of things that I'm involved in that I don't talk about. And I don't talk about them because I felt like if I shared what I was doing, people would look at it as if I was being arrogant. And that's not my heart at all. It's really not my heart at all. And people who really know me know I'm not that arrogant dude. I was always, even before my spiritual enlightenment, I was always the dude that was quiet in the back. And if I felt like somebody disrespected me, I popped off. Like that's just bottom line. I always was that guy. But I want to use everything that I have as a platform to elevate those people who I feel like have the potential to be better than me. They could grow in knowledge greater than me. They may have ideas that are greater than me. They may find a way to even grow the platform that I currently have greater than me. But at the end of the day, don't hate me for a misunderstanding. Don't hate me for an assumption. Love me for what I've done. Love me for the character I've displayed to you. Love me for who I am. And I felt that encouragement on this show. You know, I didn't get to meet my biological father until I was in my 20s and already had kids. You know, there's a lot of things that my biological father and I have that's similar. I would have never known that if I didn't take the time to spend with my biological father and his new family. You know, and I don't want to go into details about the relationship between my biological father and my mother. Go to noregrets.com, get my mother's book, No Regrets. You'll understand the story. But I think if you even have part black in you in America, you have father issues because we've been disenfranchised.
Facts.
The fathers have been destroyed systematically. We don't have the privilege of a Donald Trump who can blow his father's money and his money and become president off of white supremacy and the good old boys. You know, I seen a video earlier this week where a black woman got assaulted by white men in Washington, D.C. What are we doing? What are we come? Like, this platform isn't for Randy Curtis, a.k.a. Randy Chu, to feel like he's arrived at a place. It's for a Christopher J. It's for a Mr. Grantastic. It's for a Mr. Phenomenal. To be able to spread the message of this is what's wrong in today's society and this is what we need to change. I don't have time to look at what another man is doing. What I do have time is to look for what I can do to make the world a better place in my local region, statewide, and if it goes beyond that, cool. There were times in my life where I had a nationwide platform. Even the True Radio from 2013 to 2017 was a nationwide platform. But what was the point of having that platform if I couldn't change things locally? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why, amongst other things, FBI harassment and all that, why I shut a lot of things down in 2017 and relaunched this year is because at the end of the day, it's the local stuff that counts. It was my father and Carl Snowden and me that fought for local businesses like a barbershop to be able to have certain amount of clientele in the shop during COVID-19. Because all that was about to be shut down. We were the ones that was like, no. Barbershops are the pillar of the community. What are you doing?
Right.
Churches are supposed to be, not all, but supposed to be the pillar of the community. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Restaurants is supposed to be the relief or the responsibility or the cornerstone of the community. What are you doing? We fought for that. But guess what? I don't care if my elders get the glory out of that. I know what I've done
That's all
to help in that situation. And today's show has encouraged me to continue my work and not devalue myself. And I appreciate everyone that's in my life. Good, bad, beautiful, ugly, great body shape, over 300 pounds.
Oh my God, that's
Well, I don't. If you over 300 pounds,
okay.
Give my phone. Give my phone.
but anyway.
We lost one sponsor right there.
So next week, Chewing That Show shall continue. We love and appreciate everyone. And to those who don't like my 300-pound comments, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to your nearest Walmart. No, first I want you to get out your bed. I want you to walk to your vehicle. I want you to put the key in the ignition and start it. And I want you to put it in reverse or drive. I want you to drive to your nearest Walmart. And I want you to walk past the clothes. Walk past electronics.
You go all the way to the nutrition section where you can get yourself some Slim Fast and put yourself at a caloric deficit.
Listen, it's your boy Randy Chew, aka Mr. Chew on that, and we appreciate everyone. We'll see you guys next week. Deuces!
Deuces, y'all.